All right, now I'll come back to the share screen. I can't do both at the same time. Okay, so you back there on the screen?
I am.
Okay.
I'm good.
So heaven, we don't have any direct access here at this level we are in right now, the world, right? The world is not, there's no access from directly from the world to heaven. And all we can, it's so abstract that there's no way even to talk about it. There's no way to, I mean, other than this, you know. So the course isn't written specifically to get us back to heaven. The course is written specifically to get us to the right mind. That's the purpose of the course. That's why he says it's to get us in this box, right? This box, the right-minded box. Okay, so that's the purpose of the course. The only purpose of the course is to take us from the world back to our mind and then back to the right mind. And he says, once we're in our right mind, God does the rest. So our only function, our only job is to get back to the right mind in any situation or sanity, however you want to put it. Okay, so once we're here, that's to be the decision maker. That's where that starts, right here.
Where, say that again. Right there.
To be,
What, you have to be in your right mind though to be a decision maker.
well, you have to be the decision maker to go into your right mind, to choose your right mind. So decision maker comes first. So we've forgotten that we're the decision maker, right? That's the problem. We think we're down.
It's basically victim. It's all happening to us.
Yeah.
And in some ways, you know, the irony, the trip of all that is it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the joke of it,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Tell me what you mean by that.
Because the script's written. So when someone says, I'm going to do this, I intend to do that and this and that and the other. But, you know, this has changed my life. This came at the perfect time for me because honestly, it's like the flower blossoms. The flower can't make itself blossom. It can't make itself open up. It can't do anything. It just happens.
That's
right.
It
just unfolds right in front of you as it is. And
yeah.
I am beginning, what's changed for me, even though it looks like it didn't, because someone said to me the other day that, you know, you never lost hope about finding a place to live. And that was the night before I was going to sleep in the yoga studio because I had no place to go.
I remember that. That was your backup plan, right?
Yeah. And, you know, and that actual day, this place got offered to me temporarily. But anyway, my point is, it's just going to unfold in front of me. I'm just going to become more and more neutral and observe and go with it and just be with it and see how much peace and trust I can actually live in.
That's right. Absolutely. That's right. Well, what you're describing really then is the right mind. So, but you have to know that you are the decision maker, because otherwise you can't make a decision for the right mind. Because we're always, every moment we're choosing between the right mind and the wrong mind, right? Okay, so once you discover that you choose that level, you know, once you see that level in your mind, then you can start choosing the right mind here, right? Okay, so that's the purpose of the course. The purpose isn't to go back here. That's not the purpose of the course. It's not designed to take us back here. It's designed to get us to the point where God takes us back there. We can't do it. See, here we are the doer, right? Here in this level, you could say choosing is a level of doing. We're choosing. There's something choosing. But to go from here, this level, to up here, there's no doer. You can't do it. You can't choose it.
Well, it's like making yourself blossom as a flower. You can't do it. It's organic in its own way.
Right. Okay, so now we get back to the decision maker. We're now a decision maker. Now that's where this other chart comes in, I think.
Okay, let's see that.
Let me go out of here.
When did you do the chart?
Huh?
You did the chart recently.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. Hold on one second. I'm trying to figure out what do I get out of that. Yeah, pretty recent because there we go. Okay. Okay, so now we're moving here. Now this is heaven, remember? We were talking about
Yep.
that, right? So we're not going to be, we don't have to concern ourselves one bit with heaven,
Right.
one bit. But we will, we always, think about it. It's an abstraction, so we think about it, but we don't have to do anything about it. Okay, so now we're leaving heaven and we fell asleep and we came into this world. This world is this part right here, from here down. That's this world. That's the world we live in. And this world is the mind that we project outward to believe we see a world, right? But it's all the mind. There's nothing outside of it. Okay, so let's call the ego, the part of our mind that's split, this part, dissociated, meaning it's not connected to the whole. It's disconnected from the whole. All right, so that's our ego. That's our separate self. All right, I'm going to slow it down. I want to make sure you get this because I'm using some terms that are not so familiar maybe. So dissociated means not connected, right? So that's our separated self. That's our body. We end at the skin, right? I mean, in normal terms, that's how we think of ourselves. This, my body, that's your body. This is the world. That's all separate. We're all separate. That's dissociation. So in consciousness, we can dissociate from things and then we can reassociate with it. So we can do either one. We have that power, that ability. Okay, so first we disassociate from heaven.
Now, okay, I'm just glad you just said that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to look up dissociate, and then you did say disassociate. Did you spell that word? Is that word, did you look it up?
Dissociate? It's it's a psychological term. They use it in psychology.
So it's not disassociate.
No, it's a little different. And the way you can think of it is what they call, this came to light when they started looking at and studying multi-personalities. A person who has multi-personalities. They literally can be one moment one person, and then another moment they can be somebody else, and there's no connection between the two.
Right.
Okay, so that's where that came from originally, and they call it dissociation identity disorder. Now they call it that now instead of multiple personality. So in psychological studies, they call anything dissociated means it's disconnected from something. All right. Okay. So where we started to disconnect from heaven, that's where it all began. When we thought we disconnected from heaven. In other words, we dropped below this line. We came here, right?
I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to hear this thing. It's very interesting to me. It's just that when you drew that line, we disassociate, it's almost saying as if we did something, it's back to.
How did it all begin? Like, how did the impossible?
Kind of like, did we intentionally, consciously disassociate? I mean, it's kind of like, and I think that there's that part, and I don't remember where I read this, but there is that part that's considered mystery that we can't understand, we can't really figure out, you can't really identify. That reminds me of that shift from that above the line to below the line. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to dissociate now from heaven, clunk, I'm going below the line. It's like, You know what I'm saying?
Well, I understand totally what you're saying, and the course addresses it several times, because it even has a section in the manual, so says, how did the impossible occur? How did, if heaven is all there is, how did we get out of it? How do you get out of something that's everything, right? So he goes into it, he gives it some lip service. He says, there's no way to understand that here. You cannot.
That's exactly what I was referring to.
Yeah, exactly. You can't understand it at this level because it didn't, first of all, it didn't happen. And second, and even if it could, you couldn't understand how it would have happened anyway. So there's no point in giving it much attention other than to say it's a natural question. Everybody asks that question. However, there's no answer to it.
Because that falls into the realm of the mystery, and there's no.
It's not
That
something.
remains the mystery in this reality, in this realm.
Yeah, it's mystery because we don't know how to solve it. We don't know how it could happen. How could it possibly happen that
We just can't understand it. Right?
Yeah. So the course says to give us some kind of story around it, because we understand things by story, right? So it says, into eternity, where we are and were at that time, no time, but we are in eternity. In eternity, there crept a tiny mad idea, right? That the Son of God remembered not to laugh. In other words, we took the idea seriously. That's when we came into this world. See, if we'd have just laughed it away, which is what we do at this point. Let me go back here real quick. I wonder if I can do that. No, gotta go out. Okay, hold on. I have to learn to navigate this quicker, but I think I'm getting there. Okay, so when we go back to this chart, that's why this line, I think we went over this before, there's a gap here, right? Between, remember that? There's a gap.
Yeah,
here.
I do. I remember that.
And it's intentional. It doesn't join up with the top one. It's intentional because it indicates that below the line doesn't exist. It's a dream. So think of it this way. This is another way I think of it. When you go to sleep at night and you lay down in bed and you're going to go to sleep, you explain to me how you do that. How do you go from one state of awakeness to sleep? How do you do that? Give me a.
Well, it's the same thing. You can't make yourself fall asleep. That's
right.
all. That's exactly. I've said that 100,
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah, I get that.
It just happens.
Well, that's kind of like what I said a few minutes ago.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
Same thing. I mean, really, I tell you, knowing this should help a lot in talk about having peace around, if you get the decision to experience and observe, just watch it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all these things really contribute to, that's the point of the course, is to bring us back to a state of peace. Right. So, so it works on the other side too, by the way. Right. So how do you wake up? How did you do that? One moment you're dreaming, sleeping, and then the next moment you're awake. Now you explain to me logically and rationally how that happened.
It was my intention. And I set my mental and personal internal alarm for 7 o'clock this morning. And
now,
so
how did you do that?
Because I said so.
Yeah. So that's the same idea. You can't explain it. There's no way. So anyway, so that's,
you can't explain. Yeah, it's the same thing any more than you can blink your eye. You think you know how to blink your eye. Or walk, right. Anyway.
You don't know how you do anything, really.
No, I don't, believe me.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now,
so dissociated consciousness.
Yes. Now, here's how this goes. Okay, so we split off from heaven right here, right? And when we split off, We split out of heaven. We came into a dissociated from heaven state. Now we're dissociated from it. We're not really, see, the whole thing is consciousness. The heaven, everything is conscious or mind, however you want to put it. But we dissociated a part of ourselves to become ourselves. We dissociated from heaven. Now we forget heaven because we're dissociated from it. We don't have a connection.
You know, this was good. I just got it. I got it at another, I grokked this at another level as you've been speaking about this. I get that. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's not easy to understand for someone who, but I do get it. I understand that.
I know. That's why I thought I'd share with you, because I haven't shared this with many people yet. Okay, because the only reason I even bother to go through this is because it's helped me so much to see.
Of course.
Okay. All right. So now we're dissociated, and we've disassociated so completely over and over and over again, split off mind over and over and over again, that now we think we're bodies. That's how dissociated we are from heaven. We are now bodies in a world, and there is no heaven. That's how far we've come, right?
Whew.
That's the end of that's the bottom of the ladder, as the course says. So we're at the bottom of the ladder, and now we're dissociated consciousness. There is no God, there's no heaven. It's just bodies and brains and bodies. That's what we are now. Okay, now once we dissociate, we move into a level. This is going to shift a little bit. We're going to move into this level called what I'm calling pre-consciousness. We would also call that, I'm not calling it unconsciousness, because there is a part that's conscious in that pre-conscious. So it's not it's not like you're totally unconscious or anything, but it's before you become conscious, right before you become conscious. So this is the level I'm calling pre-conscious. Now, here's where it gets interesting for me. Think of your cat. Your cat is conscious, right? I mean, as far as we can tell, they're conscious, yeah?
Yeah.
But your cat doesn't talk to you, not conscious, not like a language. It doesn't have a, hey, Elaine, I'm hungry, give me some food. It may have other ways of communicating, but that's not one of them, right? So in other words, the cat doesn't have what's called meta consciousness. Meta, meaning above. So we call that level like of cat or dog or deer or a fish, anything. It's conscious, but it's not conscious that it's conscious. It's just pure conscious. It's almost like a baby when they first come out, right? They're conscious, but they have no consciousness of their consciousness. All right. So let's call that level raw. It's just pure consciousness. They're aware, but they're not aware that they're aware. They're conscious, but they're not conscious of their consciousness. And I give an example at the bottom here. I'm gonna go out of here again. See if I can do this quickly. And go up here. And this is an example of that. Consciousness, think about when you wake up in the morning after a dream. You just dreamed and then you woke up, right? But right away, you can't put that dream into words. You experienced it, it's conscious, but you're at this moment, you couldn't put it into words. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're asleep dreaming, and the moment you wake up, you remember the dream, but you can't quite put it into words yet. You have to really work at putting it into words, right?
If you can remember it, right?
Yeah, if you remember it, then you have to, if you want to write it down, you'd have to sit and think about it and put it into words. So it's an activity, something you have to do once you wake up. We call that one, that's the stage of reflective.
Non-reflective, raw.
Huh?
Well, yeah, the reflective.
Okay, let's go back down. So raw here.
Is it a cat or an animal? Because they're not conscious, they're conscious.
That's right.
So that's the non-reflective piece of it. And so that once the reflective piece of it comes, you actually, you're aware that you're conscious.
Yes, and that's the difference between us and animals. We become conscious of our conscious. Animals never become conscious of their conscious. They're just pure consciousness, you know. They have instincts, but that's not thinking like we think, right? We think about our experience.
I
Okay.
get that. That's good. Okay.
So another way of putting it is here, it's intuition when you intuit something, but you haven't put it into words yet. So it's
Now, do you want any input, or we'll keep going?
yeah, go
with
ahead.
this?
Yeah.
I would word the sentence before that, consciousness immediate upon waking up.
After a dream. Yeah. Yeah, if I understand what you're saying, it's pretty cryptic. So I do that because I don't want to spend a paragraph
I
there.
know, I know.
Yeah.
The thing is, with looking at this, if I wanted to try to understand that as an example,
Mhm.
it would be difficult in a way, but
Yeah.
we could always play with that. And
Right. Yeah.
anyway, it's
Yeah.
okay. I just really was trying, because I was trying to figure it out what you were trying to say before just
Yeah.
reading it. So an intuition prior to expression. So I get that.
Okay, good. And you get the
Consciousness.
dream
Okay.
part. Like when you wake up from a dream, you have to really think about the dream to put it into words. Is that clear?
I mean, the only other thing that I would put maybe is coming into consciousness immediately upon, or immediately after waking up
Okay,
after.
yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. See, when I did this, I wanted to, because I knew I was going to be talking about it, and this
I
is
know, and that's,
exactly what I was expecting. Someone said, "Well, what is that?" So I didn't write this to stand alone.
I get it. I didn't want to even add on too much, but I just thought,
No, I'm glad you did. It reminded me that I'm not the one that has to understand it at this point. So yes, we can come back to that, but the purpose of it right now is just to see if you can access the parts that I'm talking about. That's the one I'm most interested in right now.
I know, that's why I'm
Wording it.
sorry. I don't want to distract you with
Yeah.
these
All
things.
right,
but-
so now you see this level, right? That's the raw experience.
Yep, I get that.
And that's a lot of the teachings of Zen. They want to get us back to the raw experience prior to putting it into words or symbolizing the experience. That's another way to put it. Prior to symbolizing the experience, that's the raw experience. There's no symbols attached. It's just now experience. Okay. Is that clear?
Yep.
Another way to put it. Okay. Now, once we got to that level, we've come out of pre-conscious. See, this level is pre-conscious to this level. Now we're coming into consciousness or experience, but it's non-reflective. We haven't reflected on the experience, right? Now we move into reflective. So we woke up from the dream, and now we're going to report on the dream. And then in order to report to someone else, you have to put it into some symbol, some words or some kind of symbol, right? So now we've moved out of non-symbolic here to symbolic or reflective experience. We reflect on it now. And then I put down here, number 2, another way to put that is I use this symbol, experience squared. It's your experience of your experience. And that's always comes after the experience. When you're experiencing, you have.
Yes, I get that. Right.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So that's where we are right now. We're experiencing our experience. That's why I used this one. Okay.
It feels to me, I'm just going to say something right here, because what comes up for me right here is that's where the decision maker really pops in.
Exactly. That's exactly right. There is no decision maker when you're in raw experience. It's just experience. You don't
This is
evaluate
where
it.
it pops in, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So this level now, prelingual consciousness. these two go together. I mean, they're kind of like same thing. I just put it in a different way. I'm gonna have to work on that part because they're saying the same thing. This consciousness here is pre-linguistic. It's before we put it into words or symbols. And so these two are the same, basically.
You might even put them in brackets in a way, putting
Yeah,
one under
yeah.
the other, just to see that they are the same, just said differently, so.
Or I could put I mean, I could literally take it out or replace one with the other. It doesn't matter because they're the same thing, but it gives another way to look at it. So pre-linguistic. All right, now we move into, we're going to describe the dream to someone. We've wakened, and now we're going to report the dream to someone. This is the linguistic consciousness. This is when we put it into language, right? Now, does it make sense now? We're dropping down, level to level here, right? This is, first we're dissociated. We got to have the dissociation before any of this comes into play. Okay, now we're going to write it or speak it. And this is the part that's applicable to the course the most. This is why I did all this for this part.
I get it. Okay,
Okay.
I'm with you. Yeah, I get it.
So here's how we identify the ego at the source. This is what I did it because I wanted to get to the source of the ego, and it's right here. This is where it comes into play. It's
the part that reveals. It reveals it.
Exactly. And the question that accesses that is right here. What am I telling myself about XYZ, right? Because that's what the ego does. It tells us what's going on. It interprets for us what's going on and then tells us. So I'm upset because that person cut me off in traffic, right? That's what I'm telling myself. I'm justified in being upset because that's what the person did.
Well, I'm upset because Kelly didn't, I was thinking of Michael. I mean, because Kelly didn't discipline the kids and make them do the thing. And I'm upset.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
exactly. You got
it.
That's it. That's it. So it matters to our peace of mind what we tell ourselves about everything.
That's fabulous. I love this. It's great. It's good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is incredibly, this is not the right word, but it's clarifying.
Yes.
It clarifies it. It singles it out. It just allows you to bring it right to that. I mean, you could, once you get the other stuff, it's fine. You just get that. But really, it boils down to this: day in and day out, all day long. What am I telling myself?
Exactly. I knew you'd get this. I knew it. I knew you'd get it. So,
yeah, it's fabulous because I will use it. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
And when you forget, the beauty of it for me is when I forget, it's an easy anchor to get me back to where did this all start? Yeah, it started when I started telling myself about that car and that driver.
This is where it all came about, even when you and I started doing this stuff and I was mad at Robin for betraying me and this. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on. It's actually all day long. It's constant.
Moment to moment. That's why the course says we need to become conscious of the decision maker. We become conscious of the decision maker because let me go back there. That's right here. And that is where, right here, that's where
I love yours because it's an incredible tool, honey. Yeah. It's just an incredible tool. It simplifies things so much. I mean, it takes a little bit of work to get to the place where you could even understand what am I telling myself and understand that part of it, but that's fair enough.
Right.
But I love that. I mean, that's it. I love it.
I knew I was sure that you would understand, and that that it would be that you would see the value of it. I had a very strong intuition that you would see the value of it, right?
It's very, very, very valuable. I love it. I don't know. It, it's clear. It's just gets you from here to over here pretty
Yeah.
fast if you
Yeah.
ask that question.
Right.
If you have and understand more of the concepts of the course
Mhm.
as a foundation.
What the course does is it gives you something else to tell yourself. In other words, the ego will tell you,
Absolutely.
the ego tells you first, right? And then you start, oh yeah, that's why I'm upset because da, 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 right? And then you're upset. You say, why am I upset? Well, because
We have got to get this. We've got to do something with this. This is so valuable for people who are in a place to be ready to basically have more peace in their life and to have a sense of control of their life in a very different way of control that we would normally use
exactly.
that word.
Well, it goes to the source of the issue, right? It goes
It
right
does.
to the source.
It does, honey. You did it. It's great.
And
It's
let's say
just-
that you were starting out sort of like Michael. I don't know how quickly Michael will pick this up. I mean, there's no way to tell, but he's picking it up pretty fast as far as I can tell so far. But
it's going to be great because it's going to give us an opportunity on top of it, you know, for us to chat too, because he's always actually been always interested in this more than anything. I think he's gotten a little gone into the religion part because of Kelly and her dad and stuff like that. You know, it's all of a sudden it's going into another, but I'm not worried about it because he's that's just another path of me being down new age, down this, down boot, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I didn't introduce this to him yet. This is for me.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I just want to make sure the timing isn't off because I'm writing the script here, right? So my intention is you know that that it's introduced at the right time for me, because believe me, when I talk to somebody about this, I don't expect them to understand it the way you do, you know, how quickly you got it. I don't expect people to do that. So I have to, you know, you have to have some kind of, it's like you're saying a flower, you got to make the bed and make it, you know, put some fertilizer and all, then you put the seed in and then it grows, right? So most people don't have even the bed cleared yet. You know what I'm saying? So you have to clear the bed first, get the soil proper, then put the seed in and then let it grow. And that's a process, correct? So I don't want to try to force.
No, it's okay. Of course not. I'm just, he has
jumping
more
ahead.
of a, because of his will and his desire
Yeah.
to go in this direction, which I've always seen in him, quite frankly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
I can
anyway,
see that. Yeah. So so this is a tool.
I'm going to interrupt just for 2 seconds. And how we know that is the talk about the script, the God thing, you know. Hey, Mike, how'd you like to talk to Barry about this?
Yeah. Boom.
That came out of the clear blue sky.
Yes.
So that's that whole thing again. It's like, huh.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything about that. That just that was another idea that just popped into my head.
Yes. Perfect timing. That was a flower that sprouted right there. It had been percolating. It had been growing underground, but it just popped out, right? Just like a flower. Okay, perfect. Now, this isn't obviously it doesn't explain itself, so it needs some explanation. But with you and I now, we can work with this to fine tune it, to hone it. I'm gonna, as soon as I make some changes on it that I think I want to make, I'll send you a PDF copy of it, which you can use on your own, right? And then let me know how it works. Any changes you think would be helpful or whatever, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It's even the tone scale needs explanation. Is
Exactly.
clear. It is, you just,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can see a couple things with this where we could fine tune it if you're open to certain little
Yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
it's fabulous. It's, basically it's great.
So this answers the question of how we got here in a way, because we had to go through these states. We had to go through these states. Hold on a sec, sorry. We had to move through these states to get here, right? So now we know the layers of consciousness that we move through to get to the point where we are now listening to the voice that we have always identified as ourselves, but which turns out to be an imposter. It's not ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I get it. Woo.
And
It's pretty powerful. Yeah. Holy mackerel.
And
Get
that's
the hell out of here. Where are you?
I saw something black in the background run out the door.
Jeez. Not fast
It's like
enough.
a puff of smoke or something. I don't know what that was. And
Well, I tell you something, I'm going to walk away from this morning, which I really, love, and I'm so grateful to you for all this. And because it's perfect timing, because, my work has been about a parallel process, because my work has been about, for me, calling it go neutral, just hold center, balance, and observe.
yes.
Just watch it. Breathe, stay in expanded state, stay compassionate, stay loving as much as you can, and blah, 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 which is what I do when I look at what am I telling myself or what am I thinking.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So it's just been a parallel course with you in a different, along with it. But this just, it's another tool. It's another adjunct to it that really
that helps. Now, where this came into me was when, the course tells us what we're thinking is this, the ego's tells you this, that, thing. Well, thinking is one thing, but when I got that thinking for me was what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
That's where this really.
I get it. That's great. That's
yeah. That's thinking. To me, that's thinking what I'm telling.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Barry, make sure you put that down somewhere, because that clarifies thinking in a way that I think is very significant.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. It's
it's kind of like they're inextricably linked in as it is. That's an important thing to see.
Because when I say to you, now, what are you thinking right now? You'll be, normally you tell.
Yeah, I get it. What am I telling myself?
Yeah, but they don't think of that. They think, what am I thinking? and it doesn't, they may get there, but eventually, but usually it's, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? It's like that, right?
I think that till we got to you, until you got, what am I telling myself?
Exactly. And then you say, well, forget about what you're thinking. What are you telling yourself? And they go, oh, yeah, well, I'm telling my, immediate. They get it immediately. I got it immediately when I saw that. Immediately. Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Is what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm thinking.
You've got to really expand on that. I hope you do, because.
Well, that's why I recorded this. I wanted to go back over
that is brilliant.
This is the first time I'm really exposing it to anyone. I haven't shared it with anyone because I wanted to get it workable, at least workable. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I wanted it to be workable.
I think we could, tweak it minutely in a way, which is great. It's the collaboration, but I would put that in there, what you just said.
Yeah. The difference between thinking and what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, and it's really, there is no difference, but in a
It's
sense,
the
it
distinction.
describes the
Yeah.
thinking.
Yes.
It
Exactly.
clarifies what thinking is when you think you're thinking is something else.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
So happy you got that. So happy.
oh God, it's I'm just kind of like on fire with this, quite frankly.
That's how it was for me when I first got it. It's like blew my mind. You know, it was like, I never got that before. That's what I'm thinking is what I'm telling myself. It's like,
You know, and then you know what?
Huh?
And then you say, thank you, God.
Thank you,
Thank
God.
you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for revealing this to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, because I'm getting more and more and more poised and in a position for you to take the final step, because that's what has to happen, because
Yes.
we can't take that final step.
Exactly.
So this just enhances, kind of makes me very overwhelmed in a way, given this is our, not just our mission, but, you know, our heart's desire, our soul's desire.
Mhm.
And every tool, everything that, I love this. I love this.
And
I
just as a real quick thing before we have to complete,
sorry.
another thing this woke me up. No, don't worry. I just need to get this in. The other thing this woke me up to is how much happens in my mind that I can't articulate yet. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah, of course.
there's thoughts and ideas and things that I can't yet put into words, but they're affecting me. It's affecting me. So that
I
was
had that this morning, that I was going to try and tell you about something, but I couldn't even put it into words. And I thought all morning, I thought, how the hell are you going to talk about this? Because you can't.
because it was raw experience. It was raw experience. You haven't been able to put it, you haven't been able to, or you haven't had time to put it into words yet.
Yeah, because it's stuff I wanted to share with you.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
Because I can't share it with anyone else because they don't have the Course in Miracles as a foundation. I could share it, but they don't have the foundation.
Okay. How much time do you have left now? I can go a little longer.
I have until I have to leave here about a quarter.
So,
About a quarter. I'm good. I've got 10 minutes, and then I can
okay.
put my shoes on and
Let's work on putting it into words in 10 minutes. What you wanted to share. Just verbalize it as best you can and grope with it. You have to grope around with it a lot of times. You know, it's not.
All right, here's where I'll go with it. I'll start out that the thought is I'm a fractal of God.
Mhm.
So the consciousness is a fractal of God. It's the God Christ consciousness. So the God Christ consciousness, Christic consciousness as I know it,
Mhm.
is capable of basically anything.
Unlimited.
Unlimited, which would also include manifestation,
Mhm. Mhm.
forms of expression.
Mhm.
So there's that element in me that exists.
Right.
In this reality, it's limited in its expression.
Right.
So my thought is wondering, as I'll call it Christic consciousness, Christ consciousness expands, which happens, I read something beautiful, I should share it with you next week maybe, at the cellular level, that even the cell is in itself more capable, or capable of holding more light, even at the cellular level.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So going back to being in the dream, in the script, which is unchangeable,
Mhm. Right.
I think to myself, God could change anything, even in the dream.
Well, remember this, though, the script is unchangeable, but not the interpretation. The interpretation is up to you. In other words, that's your free choice in the script. Even though the script can't be changed, you can change your mind about the script. Okay.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a sense, there's something in there that feels like the unlimited aspect of God consciousness is that it could, I guess, change the script. I guess that's what I'm thinking. It could, I understand what you're saying, the interpretation of it.
Yeah, because you don't need to change this form. The form isn't the problem. See, that's how you identify what's the real problem here. Well, on one level, it's what I'm telling myself. That's the real problem. So that's the level that which change can occur that makes a difference. That change will shift the way we see the form, not the form itself. Because the form isn't the problem. It's how we're looking at the form and interpreting it and what we're telling ourselves about the form that's the problem. Now, there will
So
be
I would take it out of the problem. I'm not,
okay,
I
the
would just,
issue, whatever. What is it?
yeah,
What is it?
the event, the whatever,
The form, let's just say the form of
the
it.
form.
The form
So
is
let's just
also
say, you, one of the things we could play with at some point, because I don't really understand it very well, is this whole idea of, which seems to be prevalent out there in many, many ways, is timelines.
okay.
Are you familiar with timelines?
Yeah, yeah. What
What's
about,
your concept? What's your idea? What's your take on
well,
timeline?
again, that's a big word. Timeline just generally means chronological order, right? This happens, then this happens, and then this happens. That's your timeline.
Now, what about the phrase bifurcation? So there's a split in the timelines now.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, that would be for me, the way I would interpret the split is it splits off from the ego and follows the Holy Spirit's interpretation. It has nothing to do the time out there.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, okay.
Got it?
Because once I hold it that way, it simplifies it.
Yeah, it simplifies it, and then you don't have to change anything out there. The
Well,
timeline,
you can't change it anyway because, sorry.
that's right. No, you're right. That's right. You're not going to change it anyway, but you can change the split is when now I'm interpreting it through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, and it becomes new because the old was the ego interpretation. You don't have to change anything in the world because that has nothing to do with the new and the old. What's new is the new interpretation, and that makes everything new. And that's why what you and I experienced when we got this about what we're telling ourselves, that renews everything. Nothing changed out there one bit. It's all the same world, but now it's different. It's a different world because it's not the same as it was. You see that?
Of course.
Yeah. So that's the only difference that makes it. It's the only difference that makes a difference. Trying to change the forms doesn't make a difference. It makes no difference. It's what they call rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Titanic's going down, but you're out there rearranging them.
Maybe I won't go in head first when this thing goes down. Maybe I'll just go in feet first this time.
Yeah, exactly. Should I be sitting in that chair or that chair? Which chair should I be? This is fun, Elaine, really fun.
It's the best, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the best.
yeah.
You know, I just and maybe this is part of the script because, you know, you have a tendency, not you, we,
Yeah,
you have a tendency to move in toward, if you're ready for it and able, toward more inspiration, more inspiration, more inspiration, which is
that's the unlimited part. It's unlimited. We've limited it. It's not limited.
well, it feels very open to me in a way right now. It's like my heart is very open in that respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get to that place where I am right now, and you are obviously, where, oh my God, could I share this with someone that this would make a difference with? You know, and then, or can he share it with my son because it's going to make a huge difference for him? Or could I share it with my girlfriend Betty, who said, I'm really interested in this, but I haven't taken the next step with her, but she's already asked. So, you know, you kind of feel like, oh, I've got a chunk of heaven in my hand. I think I got a lot I could pass out.
No, I'm going to keep it. I can't let it out. I know the feeling.
I know, but there's so much of it. Actually, I'm overflowing with it. Kind of would like to share it.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have years and years of experience. You have tremendous amount of tools. Why not? What are you waiting for? Right? What are we waiting for? We have it. We have it all. There's nothing. And if we don't, it'll come. You know, that's for sure. If we don't have it right now, when it's needed, it'll show up. It'll be in
the way it's always been.
Exactly. Exactly.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
It's exciting, but it's also humbling. You know, it's for me, it's sobering. You know, it's like, yeah. It's all of the above.
I get it, of course.
Yeah.
I get it. You know, that's where the thank you God comes in.
Exactly. The gratitude, the gratefulness.
Yeah. Because what else? Because, you know, it's like I didn't do anything to get here. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know, and you didn't do anything to get. What am I telling myself?
Well, it's because it's a free gift. You don't have to do anything to get it. You just have to accept it. That's all we need to do. Just accept it. It's not conditional. It's not, well, you didn't do enough yoga yesterday, so you know, sorry, you're not going to get it. When you do 25 hours of yoga, within 24 hours, come back and maybe we'll give it to you. Maybe. if I'm in a good mood, maybe I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. This was fantastic. This exceeded my expectations. I was hoping I'd be getting an opening somewhere to present this, and it opened up. You opened up beautifully to it. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Helped me now also, because it reinforces my experience about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a humongous gift. Humongous. It's just, like I said, I'm excited. I'm really excited because I have a new mantra.
Yeah. One that makes a difference.
Because it goes on all day long. It never stops. So what a mantra to have.
It's given. It's an effortless mantra. What am I thinking?
What the hell am I telling myself about this? I'm telling myself he's a son of a bitch and he betrayed me. I mean, seriously, this is a tremendous tool for forgiveness as well. Yes. So
absolutely, that's exactly what I'm using it for. It's like, now what am I thinking about this? Okay, now what does the course say about it? You know, is that what the course tells me? I don't think so. God bless. Love you. See you next time.
Love you too, honey.
All
okay.
Right. See you next time. God bless.
Bye.